Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome to my Let's Try of the PC demo of Eliosi's Hunt, an indie sci-fi top-down shooter and platformer developed by TDZ Games. I'll be going through the level available in this demo, collecting as much as I can, and be providing my thoughts along the way. Now this game is actually feature complete. Assuming there aren't any delays, this game will be released on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One platforms by August 15th. As usual, I'll be leaving links to the demo, store page, and other relevant sites in the description below. Before I begin, let me show off the options menu because it is well featured. You can rebind all of your keyboard buttons, thank you, or keyboard keys, as well as some of the key buttons on your gamepad, which is nice. You have quite a bit of graphics options, though it is missing up. It has a basic set, but it is missing one important option, and that is a max FPS limiter. As you can see over here, my max FPS is hovering over 120, and that can cause some issues with screen tearing, so I'd rather have an ability to limit what my max FPS is, and might as well not waste the extra cycles on extra FPS that I can't really see or use. Also, audio options here, master effects, music, good. There's no voice acting in this game, yet at least. Now, I'm going to be using a new save file. I actually completed most of the game already. I had to do it due to an issue with recording, so I know mostly where the items are, but there are going to be some surprises here and there. Oh well. It's not like in most of my other Let's Tries where it's the first impressions. Anyways, on screen right now is our main protagonist, Eliosi. He's an ingenious young Zelicyan who dreams of becoming a great bounty hunter. So here he is walking over to this contract board trying to get a contract. And there he finds a contract of, the swamp lady. All the people here are various kinds of Zelicyans. They're essentially bipedal humanoid aliens. Some of them have more eyes, I think, but they still act like humans in terms of what capabilities they can have. Here's a bartender, of course. In the final game, we'll learn a lot more about these characters and why they're important. I do find it interesting that this introduction sequence doesn't have any voice acting, just grunts. So we can just see what the characters are meaning or referring to based off of their body language and facial expressions. Okay, we're on this unnamed planet right now. We need to take out the swamp lady. So here we are. We're controlling Eliosi. This first contract will be a lot more challenging than it seems because we have 5 contracts that we have to go through, especially due to the nature of the postwar world he inhabits. So this first world that we're going through, well, first and only world in this demo, is this overgrown dark jungle. Use WASD keys to move around, and you can bring out your pistol or laser pistol using your left mouse button. I will be using my keyboard and mouse specifically, although you can use your gamepad. Now, as you go through levels, there will be some side paths which actually contain some extra items, like for example, these extra parts. Or Lost Communicators specifically, the other ones are drone parts. You can press tab to see how much you have of them. They're scattered amongst the stage, and they're usually off the beaten path and off the main path, so keep an eye out for any secrets and whatnot. There is some minor backtracking I will have to do in order to collect it. Anyway, interface, here we have our FPS. Over here we have our life bar as well as our number of dashes. We can dash by using the shift, and it slowly recharges over time. We can only use 2 at max. The screen does flash blue a little bit when we recharge. And on the bottom left there is our health. We can only take 1 hit, but we can recharge our health by just shooting all these golden mushrooms or whatever. And we absorb all this golden energy, and that increases how many hits we can take. We only started with I think 1 or 2 hits, and we can slowly increase it over time. We have also these vine tentacles which hit the ground every so often. Thankfully it is telegraphed where they'll fall because the ground where they will fall is a bit red shaped. In order to open up this area, or Timbles, we have to shoot it. And these are checkpoints, press E to activate them. And here are our first set of enemies, these alien bird-like creatures. They only take 1 hit to destroy with our trusty blaster, but trust me, they'll get a lot more annoying in terms of they'll fight more in quantity over quality. Going forward is the main path, but if we take the left route, it'll also link back up to the main path, but we'll get some extra gear, hopefully. or taking this path will allow us to get an extra item. Keep in mind though that falling into these pits are instant death. There's a reason why you would actually want to take off your pistol other than keeping it all the time. On the bottom left corner here, we can actually see that's our speed indicator for Eliosi. With our pistol out, we only have about 2 bars, but with our pistol holstered, we actually have 6 bars. That'll be really important later on when we need to make the long jumps, and it's more important for needing to speedrun. Also, here's the ground I was referring to, how it's highlighted. Here's the main pathway and where it links up. On the right there, well, in order to make this jump, especially with the base upgrades, you need to holster your pistol and make this jump. So make it from here, do this, and then do your dash. With that, we get an extra drone part. These drone parts will be especially useful when we get to when we finish this level. Now, I'll just teleport back to my last checkpoint. I could die over there or whatever, because there's another extra item I can collect that's off the main path or first path I can take. You know, we have to go through these corridors platforming and shooting enemies, and this style of gameplay where we have corridor or 3D corridor platforming kinda reminds me of old PS1 titles like the Crash Bandicoot series of games where we had, well, corridor platforming. Well, it is 3D platforming but in a tight corridor, and this reminds me of that. And of course we have the Insane trilogy, which recently released, of course. Although this takes place in a more top-down perspective compared to that game. But the dash allows a lot of capabilities for speedrunning this title. If you get good at it, you can easily just cross past many of these obstacles with ease. Now normally I would just use the return checkpoint, but I'm just going to show backtracking if possible. If you're going to do a speedruns of each level, and yes, there is a bonus for actually speedrunning each level within the part time, well, you get an extra bonus. So keep that in mind, and that's where you should probably use your, well, teleportation return checkpoint. Now, in addition to being able to save at checkpoints, you can also choose to destroy checkpoints, which I will do soon enough, at the next checkpoint. Because doing so will actually boost your minimum walking speed, or rather your maximum walk. As I'll show over here. Also, when walking in this water, well, you walk a lot slower and you can't jump, so be careful. I just like the jump dash. Here's an extra checkpoint which I will use and destroy to show what it does. So I get a speed boost. As you can see here now, my minimum walking speed has been increased now by 2 bars. This is really important when you need to do speed runs and if you really want to get the best scores and get into part time. Where in that case you would have to destroy as many checkpoints as you can so you can obtain very fast speeds. Also, something else off the beaten path. We need to travel left in order to get the next drone part, of course. Always keep an eye out for things you can shoot or hidden paths you can unlock, or off paths you can unlock, because there's a very good benefit you'll see once I complete this level. It's not just for 100% completion's sake. There is another logical reason why we want to do it. Those shielded or spiky backed enemies take about 11 shots to destroy with a base weapon. And that's our second Lost Communicator. There are actually 3 Lost Communicators you can get and 5 drone parts in the stage, as well as 1 bonus item, but in order to unlock that bonus item, we need to first collect the first 3 Lost Communicators first. I know that sounds redundant, sorry about that. Oh, that was my fault, of course. Thankfully, if you die, you're only taken back to your last checkpoint and you only lose the items you had in your person during the time. But enemies in between the last checkpoint, and in between where you last died and the last checkpoint will respawn, so keep that in mind. So if you destroy a checkpoint, well, you can get sent back a lot farther than usual. In the first stage, dying isn't that painful, but in latter stages where you need to unlock more stuff, it can get a lot more... it can be a lot more problematic. A little bit of careful jumping over there off the platforms. It isn't as bad as we'll see later on, though. It'll get a lot more problematic then. Well, yeah, air control... I know air control is a little bit tight, but there are certain upgrades that make air control of Eliosi a lot better. As you can see here, if I had a little bit more of a speed upgrade, I could actually make that jump. But unfortunately I don't, so I can't really make the jump across. But if I destroyed a few more checkpoints, I can more easily just speedrun the gap. The controls are pretty fluid and tight, but your control can be a little bit finicky or a little bit loose until you upgrade it, of course. And by doing this, we get the jetpack, which allows us to jetpack across obstacles. Let's see if I can do this area without dying. Usually I would just go back to the left and get my jetpack, or get my flamethrower ability. But if not, I'll just see if I can just take care of the birds. Problem is, in order to access this drone part, I need to kill off all of these birds first. But of course it can be a lot dangerous because they can ambush you very easily. Yeah, I really need a fire rate upgrade, so I can't do it right now. So what I usually do is jetpack across this height. Basically you just hold down your jump button, and eventually once you reach the bottom part of your jump, you'll get across. We can't access this particular set of rambles yet, but we will be soon enough. First take care of one more of these alien birds. Sure, let's call out every one of them. I can imagine how much more dangerous it'd be in a speedrun environment. And by going over here, we get the jetpack and flamethrower. Before I cross over there, let me just activate this checkpoint so I can more easily cross. I'm going to first access this one. In order to access these tick brambles, you need to use your flamethrower. Now what you're supposed to do is platform over these rotating routes, but instead I'll just use the jetpack to get across. This will not be possible for another challenge later on, at least with my starting upgrades. By collecting all 3 of the Lost Communicators, we opened up a path near the end of the stage, or actually at the end of the stage, which will allow us to get the bonus item if we so choose. But that's at the end of the stage, so I'll talk about it when I get to that. So now I'm just going to backtrack over to where that last drone part was. It's best to actually land on each of these platforms and then do another jump, because it'll propel you forward at least a little bit. It's not really the jetpack I need, it's more like the flamethrower, because then I can easily just take care of all these birds in one hit. And unlike with my blaster, which has a notable... My regular pistol can't actually fire fast enough in order to deal with these birds, whereas a flamethrower can easily just roast all of them. Now there's one last thing I need to do before I can progress forward. Or before I can progress forward, because there's the extra item or last drone part I need to collect. So open this set of brambles over here, and use our jetpack to get across. Easy peasy. And there's an upgrade you can get that will increase your max fuel capacity. So let me just get across. I really like how fast the dash recharges, and you can make it recharge faster with certain upgrades. And I do like how it promotes a speedrunning-like playstyle. I do like all of the extra features that the developers added so that you can actually speedrun the game more easily. Like the ability to destroy checkpoints if you really want to get through each of the stages faster. But it's a high risk, high reward thing, or it's a trade-off, because, well, if you so choose to destroy checkpoints, you'll go faster, sure, but you'll be sent back farther if you die. So don't use it unless you're really skilled. Oops, I kind of made a mistake here. Let me just kill myself over here. In order to access a certain secret over there, I need as much jetpack energy as possible, and I used up some of it. It's a lot easier to get that secret if you complete the stage and come back to it later. Okay, that should be it. And thankfully I can kill all these shellback enemies in one hit by using the flamethrower. That's so satisfying to do. Alright, let me just hit the checkpoint over here. On the right is what I was referring to. Yeah, it's a long chasm over there. Normally you're supposed to jump on each of these precariously positioned routes, but I'm not that good enough, I'm not that skilled enough, so I'll just take the easy route. and probably die in the process. Because I don't have enough, I didn't upgrade my fuel capacity high enough to actually make these jumps. So I guess I'll have to do it the classic way and see if I can actually make these jumps properly. The problem, of course, is, well, these don't exactly line up like the previous branches. I've never been able to collect the bonus item, which is at the end of that gauntlet. So, well, I won't show it off here because I'll repeatedly die in the process. So here's Lady Swamp, the boss. Normally you can just use your pistol or laser blaster to deal with her, but if you really want to, if you notice on the bottom right over there, we actually have access to a flamethrower that we can use right over here, which makes this boss fight a lot easier. And if we do it as we can open up the bottom left passageway. And I died over here because it activated too slowly. Wonderful. Yeah, sometimes her random generation or moves that she decides to take are a lot more difficult to dodge. But on the top left here we can actually open up a place with all those mushrooms. And those will fill up your health back up to max. And with your fuel upgrade or with better aim, you can easily just one clip or one magazine Lady Swamp with the flamethrower. And that was stage 1. So that ends the first part of the contract. In the final game, we'll go through the 4 other contracts plus whatever other stages there are. And this end panning of Lady Swamp at the end makes me kind of suspicious that she'll come back as a mechanical version. And this would be where we would start stage 2, of course, which is a factory stage. Alright, level completed. By the way, the power time for this mission is 2 minutes. It looks rather tight, but it is possible to do this. I haven't seen this. I predicted it's possible, mainly because if you destroy all of the checkpoints, you can get enough speed, and combined with the speed upgrades and certain other upgrades, well, you can get in your second run pretty easily, or with enough skill. I wasn't able to get the bonus item, unfortunately. And at the end of each mission, we'll get a level progress meter. This is increased by doing a few things, one of which is getting all the Lost Communicators, drone parts, the bonus item, as well as if you get it on part time. In the final game, we would go to Sevier's factory, but we can't because this is a demo. And at the end of each stage, you can get upgrades. Now, this is what I was referring to why drone parts and Lost Communicators are important, because getting each one will actually increase the number of parts available by 1, which means you can slot them into more upgrades. For example, recoil, weapon ammo, grenade count, speed, weapon damage, energy efficiency, energy capacity, air control, dash capability, and item duration. But of course, you can't really get to tier 3 without spending some points in earlier tiers. So there is a restriction so you don't put all of your eggs in one basket. But because this is a demo, Eliosi already has some upgrades placed into him because he has tier 2 unlocked, and a few stats already upgraded, so I suppose in the final game they won't be upgraded and whatnot. You'll have to do some extra stuff. So this will increase my flamethrower. This will increase my speed. This is awesome. I'll definitely take it. Weapon damage is also pretty nice. Let's see. Item duration also, that'll be really important. And dash capability. And by doing so, now my stats will be improved throughout all the future stages. That's why it's so important to actually search for all these drone parts. Not only do they count to 100% completion, they also improve your character and make it easier to speedrun and get other upgrades and whatnot. I'm gonna try getting the power time, let's see if I can do it. I'll turn on the chronometer. You also get a secret if you get 100% completion, but... well, in order to do that, I need to get the bonus item and I don't think I'll be able to do it. But let me see if I can speedrun it. If not, well, I'll just leave my final thoughts in the game. Okay, we got it this time at least. Yeah, I jump a lot farther as long as I don't have my gun out. And I will want to pick up this flamethrower here, because it'll be really important for taking care of the next set of foes nearby. Jetpack not really necessary. This is why I want a flamethrower, so I can easily just roast these birds and other rabble. Let's see if I can do it. I need to do it in 12 seconds. Alright, I did it, and did it with 4 seconds to spare. Yeah, it's entirely doable, and if you didn't screw up as much as I did, you could easily get this under like 140. So there's a lot of avenues for speedrunning this game if you're really good. So I do appreciate it. It's like the time trial modes in Crash Bandicoot and certain other titles. And by doing so, our level progress also increases by just so much. And if I could just get that final drone part, or extra item, I'll be able to get 100%. You know what? I'll make a jump cut and see if I can collect that item, then I'll give my final thoughts. So see you there. Alright, we're back over here with the jetpack. I decided to pick up as many of those upgrades as possible so I can jump across more easily. And with the fuel upgrade, let's see if I can do it. I'll make sure to de-equip my pistol, of course. Too bad I can't really do dash cancels here, but because if I do, I'll just fall in the abyss. Oh, so close there, but I don't think I'll be able to make it without doing careful platforming, which means I won't be able to do it, unfortunately. So let's get out of here. So overall, my thoughts on this game, or the demo of Eliosi's Hunt, is very positive. This is one of the most polished demos I've played so far and during my Let's Try series. The graphics are good, the controls are mostly responsive, although the air control could use some improvement, but that's an upgrade of course. Wow, that's very off. The lighting isn't being set correctly. I didn't upgrade air control, that's why. But I do like how each level actually has multiple paths. Like, we already saw how the level splits up into one path, the first level, and then leads back into the first second checkpoint. And there are a lot of off-beaten paths you can go which are rewarding because you can either get Lost Communicators or drone parts. And those aren't just useful for 100% completion, they actually contribute to you getting a bit more upgrades and getting better and stronger. And it'll make it so that getting a certain other upgrades in earlier stages are better. So it really promotes you rerunning earlier stages to get better items and better times, as even better times improves your completion rating. But of course, and you seem to actually get some extra items or as something extra if you get 100% completion on a level. But sadly I wasn't able to because the bonus item appears to be very brutal to get, because it requires all this precise jumping and I can't just easily cheese it with the jetpack. The only thing I would really complain about this is the somewhat generic music, as it was just filtered out when I was going through the action. For games like this where there's a high intensity action, I would like some more memorable music rather than the more forgettable one here. But other than that, the gameplay is solid, I do like how the collectibles are set up, and the platforming challenges are hard or challenging but fair. Hopefully this is kept true for the final release on August 15th. And like I said before, I'll leave links in the description below to the demos and other relevant sites. I wish the best of luck to TDZ Games for their final release. Well then, thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Toodles!